Shopify is more on the e-commerce side. So it's an e-commerce platform that has a giant app directory, which they're basically a bunch of tools. There's several thousand. They call them apps, but they're really tools. So they have basically one-click implementation into the website, one-click installation of the tool into the website. So if you want to launch a customer referral widget, refer a friend, find the one you want, click a button, boom, installed. You want to launch a CRO tool, find the one you want, click it, boom, installed. You want to launch a retargeting platform, boom, done. So on that level, they've far exceeded any of the other e-commerce platforms, in my opinion, for bringing tools to websites. And in my opinion, bringing tools to websites has revolutionized e-commerce. Even before the pandemic and the surge online, it was already surging. It was already surging, and the tools were facilitating people purchasing online, and it was helping. That being said, so where Shopify has really stolen the show is, you can be a small merchant and they have a solution for you, all the way up to the biggest merchants, enterprise level. They have a solution for you. So now they run the whole gamut, the smallest to the biggest. And that's where no other e-commerce platform is touching them right now. And not to mention, they have a really nice dashboard for their store owners, their shop owners. They've put a lot of effort into building out the dashboard, making it nice, making it suggest things, add this, add that, check this out, check that out. So they've done a good job. It's taken a while to get there, but I'd say in the last year to two, they've really advanced the product, as far as usability of the store owners. And so the problem though is, and while all of that sounds great, the flip side is people that launch stores aren't necessarily successful. So what's the churn rate? My gut instinct is it's probably over 70% of people that launch a store abandon it within a year or two, okay? Because they just can't make it work. They can't drive enough traffic to it, make it convert well enough to get a return, so they abandon the project. But that's just the flip side. That's like the underbelly of, people that sometimes come my way and say, I have a Shopify store, how do I grow this thing? And then it leads into a conversation like this of how it's done and why you're finding it so difficult. So it's definitely not easy to just, throw up an e-commerce store and make it successful. It's still very, very difficult. Regardless of how many people have surged online, it's still a big task to make it work. Possible.
Yeah, a lot of people jumped on that opportunity back in March, especially because seemingly a lot of demand patterns that have been stable for some time changed immediately. I mean, travel was down. There was luxurious items were down. Everything that was, not absolutely needed was down. But then there was a lot of PPE equipment that was suddenly needed, and it was hard to get. So a lot of people jumped into the scene if they had inventory, they had a supplier, and tried to take advantage of this. Is that something you can pull off in like a couple of days, literally a couple of weeks, or do you need like a more wholesome story and strategy to it to actually pull off an e-commerce store? Because I always felt it's very, very competitive out there. I've never really had an e-commerce store on my own. I always felt it's so competitive and has been super competitive the last 20 years that I always felt, so you can obviously pull it up, but how do you find the demand? Unless you already know the demand, like literally have a newsletter and there's 20,000 people on it that actually want to buy only from you. But unfortunately, I was never in that position.
Well, again, it's back to, a very difficult thing to make work, regardless of how many people are shopping online now. You still, how to make it work, you advertise with Google, you advertise with Bing, you advertise with Facebook, you grow your email list, you find affiliates, you do things on the site to make the site convert better. Over time, if you do those things effectively, you can make it work and grow it and make it work, methodically over time. But as far as jumping in there and making, a big splash in a month, no, I don't think so. It may happen here or there with some things, may be able to be the, aberration or whatever the word would be. But in general, what I tell companies is companies grow annually, right? Companies grow annually. What you do year 2 should far exceed what you did year 1 online. If, let's say, e-commerce, for instance, year 2 will far exceed year 1. And then year 3 should exceed year 2, probably by not the same amount, but still, exponential. It depends, though, on the niche, how competitive it is, how good you're doing at selling on your site, what exactly you're selling, if it's in demand, if it's a good product, if people have a high level of satisfaction, so they repeat purchase. Many factors involved in making an e-commerce, endeavor successful. You have to hit on all those cylinders. You have to hit on all cylinders, make all channels work simultaneously. And that's what I believe in, a multi-channel approach, making all the channels, work. They all have to be tested. TikTok isn't going to work for everyone, and Google isn't going to work for everyone, and Facebook may not work for everyone. But they all have to be tested with the right strategy in place, with the right tools in place. If you try to test them without the right strategy or tools, you'll end up saying this channel just doesn't work. And that would be an inaccurate statement, because it just wasn't done properly with the right tools in place. So I hear that a lot. Google ads doesn't work. Facebook ads doesn't work for me. You just didn't do it properly. That being said, if I'm involved and it's not working, then maybe it isn't going to work. But still, it should be made to work. There isn't a channel out there that's what I consider a high quality traffic source, like Google, like Facebook, Bing, even affiliate traffic, that you can't make work. If people are searching and the product is fitting their needs, you should be able to make that work and get a return on ad spend that's acceptable, or ROI. But it's always a project. Everything is a different different industry, different budget, different conversion rate. So it's a lot of the strategies are the same, but each project is just its own entity. So it just has to be made to work.